I attended Aurora University, where a fellow football teammate of mine said I could stay the night at his home, and I had a bipod at 5:30 in the morning, and I'm a commuter, about 33-minute drive. So he said I could stay the night to save me some time. When I arrived at the home, some other teammates that lived there was like, "N-word, you better not go into my room." So I walk in, I sit down on my phone. I'm in distress at this point. I'm sitting down on the couch, and then he uses the N-word again. And by that point, my mind was everywhere. I was at a loss for words. I was hurt. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel comfortable getting up at that moment. So then the teammate that said I can stay the night had walked in, and everybody was asking him, "Did you say you could stay the night?" And then he had finally said yes, he could stay the night. And a couple minutes later, another teammate that different from said the N-word was like, "Why are you sleeping here? Don't you guys sleep in trees?" And when he said that, I was appalled. I felt hurt. I mean, Aurora preaches about the football team's a brotherhood, and when he said that, I didn't really feel like a brotherhood to me. And a couple moments later, he had walked in again, and he had sat on my lap, and I was trying to get him off me, and I was like telling him to get off me, and everybody was just sitting there laughing at me. That made me feel, again, like I had no voice, like I couldn't do anything about it. So moments go by, everybody leaves. I'm scrolling on my phone again, and the teammate that called me the N-word threw a Nerf bullet at me and was like, he made a George Floyd reference. I don't remember how he said it, but he made a George Floyd reference. And then after that, he was like, "If you don't feel comfortable, you can leave. We don't want you here." So I grabbed my bag and I walked out the house and I left.
Let's go, Deuce. Let's go, Deuce.
A touchdown that made his dad cheer. A moment that felt like a beginning.
Money.
He's 18 now, but Brook Williams has worked for a shot at college ball since he was 5. The Plainfield native chose Aurora University, 30 minutes from home, for the field and the feel.
I went on a visit, I think in like December, and I just really like the culture, and I just like the facilities and the campus, really.
Weeks into his first semester, he says that feeling changed and the locker room turned hostile.
At first, they had made some N-word comments, and I was just like shocked and like appalled by it. And then after that, shortly, another guy said, why are you sleeping here? Don't you guys sleep in trees?"
And he was the only black player in that room. He says a George Floyd reference followed, and all he could see was the scene the world can't unsee.
Real quick, this is for all the white extremists and all the white people that be in my comments that don't like me. And again, if you're a regular white person, this don't apply. But for you white extremists, I want y'all to understand something. George Floyd is not a hero to us. Y'all been joking about George Floyd for years now. When did the thing happen with George Floyd? When was that? 2020, 2021? However, whenever it happened, it's been years at this point. Why do y'all think George Floyd is like some martyr to us? He's some he's some historical figure for us. See, they've been doing this a lot online on YouTube and Twitter. They like to use George Floyd as like all the butt of their jokes, and they think we're supposed to be angry about it. We don't care about George Floyd for who he was. We just understand that the death was unlawful, and those type of things don't happen to anybody else but us on a consistent basis. We don't look up to George Floyd. We're not telling our children to be the next George Floyd. Y'all think that we think like that. I think it's pretty clear because they like to use these arguments about these statues and these murals in the city. Who do y'all think is behind those things? You think black people are pushing those? No, the white liberal is pushing those things. We don't care about George Floyd. We just don't like unlawful killings. We don't care if you a good person or a bad person when it comes to, well, I can't even say bad person because committing a crime doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. I think it kind of depends on the mentality and, you know what I'm saying, other things as well. But regardless of the fact, he's not a martyr to us. We don't care about George Floyd. The average black person is not waking up talking about, man, George Floyd this, George Floyd that. We don't care about that. Y'all been talking about that for 5 years now, or whatever year George Floyd passed away. Like, that's not somebody that we like look up to. But for whatever reason, y'all have been duped by your white liberal, whatever counterparts, and y'all just believe that we believe we're not the one telling them to put up murals of George Floyd instead. We don't care about no damn George Floyd statue. Black Americans don't care about none of that. We just want people to be treated respectfully and lawfully, no matter what race they are. Most black people will be against it if it was a white person that it happened to. But we just understand that those things have been historically happening to us, and that man sat on that man's neck for 9 minutes. That's all we saying. We don't care that we don't care what he did. At the end of the day, you don't deserve to die because of that and die unlawfully. So y'all can miss us with this thing of George Floyd and y'all believing that he is some like deity to us. Like, I don't know what's wrong with y'all. Like, I don't get it. I don't know. I don't understand. George Floyd is not y'all's Charlie Kirk. Like, I hope y'all know that. The way Charlie Kirk is to y'all is not how George Floyd is to us. Just putting that out there.
Followed, and all he could see was the scene the world can't unsee. Floyd dying under an officer's knee, and fear set in.
You're 6'3" saying this to a 5'7", that's intimidating.
As a mother, I was devastated, to say the least. Our whole family has been affected by this.
Brook's mom, Aisha, says reporting it felt like a second fight. She pushed for a formal investigation.
I didn't give up. I was relentless. Emailed the president, the vice president, everybody. Every single day, they would give me no answers. Next day, I'm emailing again, calling to the school, emailing, even the coach. I emailed him as well. And so finally, the vice president scheduled a meeting with us, and we went in and sat down with her and the coach, my husband and my son.
The school's investigation found 2 players created a hostile environment based on race. Brook says they kept playing while that investigation was going on. Their initial punishment, suspended from the team and put on disciplinary probation. But after lawyers got involved in an appeal, that changed. They take racial sensitivity training and be back on the field next January. Aisha says a meeting with the coach made it worse. That coach, former NFL player Don Beebe, a Super Bowl winner with the Packers, told them he knew the families of the players accused.
The words that he spoke in front of us and the vice president, I used to be in the NFL. I had black friends. Me and my black friends told racist jokes. He said, I want to forgive the kids like Jesus forgave David for being a murderer.
Brook never got an apology, not from the players, not from the coach. She says the coach stopped speaking to him in film sessions, even skipped his plays on screen. That, he says, was the moment he knew he couldn't stay.
When we went to get my shoulder pads and my girdle and everything in there, a bunch of stuff was missing. My pads was missing. The only thing that was really left was my cleats and my girdle. A bunch of my gloves, my mouthpieces, my towels, they're all gone.
2 weeks later.
So just to give y'all some insight, I've been through something like this, man. I remember when I was going to this school in SUNY Cortland, upstate New York. And I really didn't want to stand for the anthem at this point in my life. I would stand now because I have a different mentality now, but at that point I didn't want to stand for the anthem. But regardless of the fact whether you want to stand for the anthem or sit for the anthem, it is your right as an American citizen. I don't have an issue with either because, we live in a country where you're allowed to have freedom of speech. You're allowed to have your own belief system. So me personally, I don't care if you want to stand or sit, honestly, but I wasn't trying to stand for the anthem, but I did it anyway. And I instead of me, taking a knee, I did something just as simple as I put my fist in the air. This was back in 2019 when I was playing college ball in upstate New York. And I just put my fist in the air during the anthem. That's all I did. When I tell y'all that week, at the end of practice, like multiple days at the end of practice, the coach was talking about people that are trying to be bigger than the team at the end of practice. It was all about me, though. He was talking about people trying to be bigger than the team, people trying to put on spectacles, all these things. Old white coach. His name was, what was his coach name? I think his name was Dan McNeil, if I can remember his name. He was a head coach Daniel McNeil. He was the head coach of SUNY Cortland, upstate New York. He's not coaching there no more, but I don't know if he's alive. I don't even know. But he was doing a lot of subliminal stuff. And I remember we had this game in New York. We had this game at MetLife Stadium in New York. It was called the Cortica Jug. It's basically one of the biggest games of the year for us and in the whole entire upstate New York. It's called the Cortica Jug. Where SUNY Cortland, the school I was going to, they just won a national championship last year for that division. But we had a game at the Cortica Jug. It was SUNY Cortland versus Ithaca. And I remember the head coach came up to me like maybe a few days before the game. He was just like, yeah, do you plan on doing that thing you do during the national anthem? And I was like, was there a problem? He was just like, well, it's not a problem, but I just don't know if that's gonna look good image wise. We got like donors and we got people in the fans and people in the stands and all that. I'm like, okay, well, my question back to you would be, what does that have to do with me just simply not making a spectacle, but just me putting my fist in the air like this during the national anthem? Why is that a big thing? And he was like, no, it's not a big thing. It's just kind of like, old white dude. He like in his 70s, 60s, 70s. And he was just trying to make excuses. And I told him like, yeah, I was going to do it. And I think he stopped himself at that point for trying to get my perspective, because I think if he would have kept going, it would have turned into something else. So he was just like, okay, I got you. And he just left it alone. And I did it during the quarter jug. And I have a photo of it. Let me see if I can pull it up for y'all. Not during a quarter jug, but I have a photo of me doing it during the game. Let me try to find a beat for y'all. Let me see if I can find this photo. Yeah, I got it right here. This is the photo right here. It's kind of hard for y'all to tell, but y'all can see. Let me turn my brightness down. Or I don't know if y'all can see that. If you kind of, oh no, I can big screen myself. Hold on, I can big screen myself. I'm tripping. Let me know. Y'all should be able to see this, but y'all can see me right there. This was during the game. This was at the quarter. This was a home game that we had. This wasn't at the quarter jug, but y'all can see. This all I did. This is literally all I did. Y'all see me at the bottom right there. Right here. That's all I did. And they had such an issue with that. Y'all can see me right there. And they took such an issue with it. Y'all see me right there. They took such an issue with it, bro. And I wasn't doing nothing to nobody. I didn't make no spectacle or nothing. And they had just the biggest problem and issue with that. And that was back in 2019, man. I screenshotted that September 13th, 2019. So it was a little bit before that. But I've always had a different mentality. And I was the only one on the team who did it. I tried to get a couple of my other teammates to do it. They didn't want to do it with me. Yeah, that was me in 2019, man. And my coach wasn't rocking with that, and I did it anyway. And I started to notice how the other coaches started to. I was number 13, defensive end. But yeah, I started to notice like a lot of my coaches start to be a little bit like hesitant towards me. They started to distance themselves from me, and I started to distance myself from them. So, that happened to me as well. Not exactly with this kid going through, but I did experience a lot of like vitriol towards coaches once I did that, and I kind of made my mind up that I was going to do that. And I did it by myself. And I didn't care.
A friend texted him these photos. Everything was back in his locker. By then, Brook had already decided to leave, losing his $60,000 scholarship and his peace of mind.
Honestly, it was hurtful because I've been working so hard. I saved a bunch of money to go to school, and now I'm stuck.
Oh, damn, I forgot. My bad, Joe. Hold on. I ain't even turned the camera back.
Stopped speaking to him in film sessions, even skipped his plays on screen. That, he says, was the moment he knew he couldn't stay.
When we went to get my shoulder pads and my girdle and everything in there, a bunch of stuff was missing. My pads was missing. The only thing that was really left was my cleats and my girdle. A bunch of my gloves, my mouthpieces, my towels, they're all gone.
2 weeks later, a friend texted him these photos. Everything was back in his locker. By then, Brook had already decided to leave, losing his $60,000 scholarship and his peace of mind.
Honestly, it was hurtful because I've been working so hard. I saved a bunch of money to go to school, and now I'm stuck working again. I can't go back to school until January, and I don't know where I want to go.
The university sent us a statement. It says it takes reports seriously, and federal law limits what it can share. It says every report is reviewed, and action follows if there's a violation. The Williams family read it themselves.
The report is carefully reviewed, lies, appropriate, whenever policy. Yeah. He doesn't feel valued or supported.
Brooklyn says the process left him with one question.
Really, it's just like, am I enough? Like, what did I do to deserve this?
It's a question past students of color have had. In 1987,
Here they go with the students of color stuff. They always got to bring up some all inclusivity of things that black people go through. It's always some people of color stuff. Stop with the people of color stuff. I'm not a person of color, and I wish black men and women would stop doing that. Stop minimizing and diminishing your experience and your history, because we have our own exclusive history. I'm not saying you got to just say F everybody else, but what I am saying is stop throwing away your stuff and acting like everybody else is just included with you. The Latinos, the Asians, all of these other people, the Indians, all these people that don't care about you or don't really have the same history and struggle that we had to do. Stop trying to make this whole thing like we all have the same struggle. We don't. Black women are the only group of people who've had to go through what they have to go through. Black men are the only group of people who have to go through what we had to go through. So y'all can miss me with the people of color stuff. You can miss me with the brown and black stuff. You can miss me with the we all the same. You can miss me with all that. You can have your own struggle. Cool. That's got to do with y'all. Ain't got nothing to do with me. So anytime I see that, I hear that, I just cringe. It'd be something that specifically happening to black people and people of color. But let something happen to the Asians, oh, it's just the Asians. Let something happen to the Latinos, it's just the Latinos. They always know how to make it to where it's singular when it comes to them. When it comes to us, it's always a collective. And they indoctrinate y'all with these narratives, the Black and Brown Coalition, women of color movement, and all of this stuff. Stop that. Stop that. I hate when black women call themselves people of color. You're not a person of color. You are a black woman with your own unique experience and history. Stop calling yourself a person of color. You are diminishing your own history. Stop doing that. Anyway.
Chicago Tribune article.
To deserve this.
It's a question past students of color have had. A 1987 Chicago Tribune article describes similar racial tensions at Aurora University, from KKK graffiti to fear in dorms. 4 decades later and across the country, race-based harassment reports on campuses remain among the top categories of civil rights complaints. The FBI tracked more than 11,000 hate crimes in 2024, most tied to race. The Williams family says it's shocking, but they're not shocked.
Several of his teammates have vocalized that they're scared to say anything. Caucasian students, by the way. And that's why they didn't speak up for him when he was being antagonized and harassed that night. So I'm not surprised. What we allow will continue, so.
For other
I can understand why other people wouldn't want to speak up, but you can't expect them to either. You know what I'm saying? Because then they putting themselves on the line, on the forefront of it, and they probably got to deal with the repercussions. And again, these kids, 18, 19, 20 years old, they don't really able to stand on their 10 or enough at that point. But you can't expect other people to care. You got to care about yourself.
Families, this is about more than one team or one university. Experts say ask colleges how they handle discrimination, what training teams receive, and how the school ensures safety after a report. All things Brook's dad, Jerry, wondered. He stayed quiet, a silent support close by, until he couldn't anymore.
If you could speak directly to Aurora's president and board, what would you say?
Listen to this young black man.
Well, this is where HBCUs will come in handy for us, but unfortunately, the HBCUs is just indoctrination camps. HBCUs, unfortunately, they do the same thing that the PWIs do, but they cover it in blackface. Unfortunately. So, because they just throw all our history to Africa and, the sororities and these frats. And I wish people would stop with these. Stop calling sororities and frats black culture. It's literally called Greek culture. And it has nothing to do with the black American community. I don't care what your frat is. I don't care what your sorority is. When y'all be trying to identify with these frats and sororities, that ain't got nothing to do with us. That's not our history. So you can miss me with the whole fake Greek culture stuff. It's all BS, and it's really a cult if you really want to get down to it. And a lot of times, most of the time, they put their frat and their sorority over their own community. It's really an echo chamber. It's really something that they don't even want other people to be included in. It's a cult. It's a secret society. You got to not tell people that you in it, and then you got to do a bunch of weird stuff to get in it. It's a bunch of symbols and stuff. You got to pledge allegiance to it. Come on, man. If that ain't a cult, I don't know what is. They only help each other out. It's a brotherhood that only them can have access to. Yeah, okay. I guess. Anyway. And half of them dudes that's in them frats is DL anyway, especially them Qs. All that divine non BS. It's a form of Freemasonry. Yeah.